All right, folks, what's up? Welcome back. We in the shop again for another setup. As y'all can tell, I'm chilling. I got my shoes off. I'm kicked back on Illuminati. Just having a good day. But today I want to talk about a technique that is very, very powerful and has led me to several top 10 finishes, victories, and just a lot of money made over the course of my career, and that is the drop shot. And before I even get into the technique and the setup itself and what I use and all of that, I got to give a big shout out / RIP to my boy Aaron Martins, man. Everybody loves and knows Aaron Martin, and what he's famed for is this technique right here. I feel like he so single-handedly brought this technique to light, mainstream, and you can't even talk about drop shot fishing without mentioning Aaron. So I also want to take a quick moment to shout my guy out, man. Native Californian like myself, and just one hell of a human being, man. If you knew him, you loved him, bro. So shout out Aaron Martins, man. But let's jump into the technique, man. Again, this is something that I've just made a ton of money on, man. I've been using it for over 15 years, I'm going to say. Man, longer than that, probably. I can't even remember when it hit the scenes. I want to say late 90s. And it took off like wildfire, man. But I jumped on board right away. And what I found about the drop shot technique is it catches fish. It does not matter where you're at. And it almost doesn't matter the time of year or any of that. It's a technique whether it's like if you use it, you get bit on it and you catch them. And if you don't, you just kind of miss the boat. But this is something that I've heavily relied on for a couple of different scenarios. One of the most important ones is when things seem to get tough. You know, the bite seems a little bit tougher. Fish are a little bit more finicky. Tend to be a little more line shy, tend to be a little more bait shy, so they're not biting your traditional stuff, your jigs, your crankbaits, your jerkbaits, your spinnerbaits, things like that. I'm going to say this is probably the first technique that I'm going to pick up to throw at some fish. Is going to be the drop shot. When I get frustrated, things just aren't working out, the drop shot, man. It just catches them, all species, largemouth, smallmouth, and of course spotted bass. And so I want to talk about a couple different ways that I utilize the technique. I got two setups right here that I want to show you guys. And this, for the most part, covers me when I'm drop shotting. So the one I'm going to start off with is this one right here. This is more of my power shotting, so to speak. And let me explain that. Whenever I'm targeting largemouth, almost whenever I'm targeting largemouth, for one, or if I'm fishing a little bit heavier cover, so I'm throwing a drop shot in, like, let's say a brush pile. I'm utilizing the finesse technique to fish heavy cover, brush piles, laydowns, docks, things like that. This is the setup, excuse me. This is the setup I'm gonna lean on. This is a little stiffer rod. This is a 7-foot medium heavy favorite hex. So it has a little bit more backbone to it, so I can pull a little harder. I can use just a little bit heavier line on this setup right here, and I can get fish out of cover. And so on both of these setups, I'm utilizing braid, okay? This is Seagar Smackdown braid, and I have another prototype over here that I'm utilizing as well. That's from Seagar. The braid is key for two reasons: castability, sensitivity. Those two: castability, sensitivity. When you get the bite, you need to know you got a bite. Very important. Then when you get the bite, if you're fishing any kind of cover, you need to be able to remove the fish. That's just simple one-on-one bass fishing. And then the leader, okay? Braid to a fluorocarbon leader, utilizing an FG knot. I'll drop the link in the bio so you guys can, in the description, excuse me, so you guys can go and watch the FG video. If you guys don't know how to tie an FG knot, I'll put that in there as well. And I'm using anywhere from 10, or I'm gonna say 8 on the low end, all the way up to 12, rare occasion like 15, right? And that's super rare. But the mainstay are gonna be 10 and 12 pound tests with this particular setup. And then you'll notice something else. As we look at the drop shot itself, this is a Texas rigged drop shot, okay? So that's another indication that I'm A, fishing largemouth, and that I'm B, often fishing around some kind of cover. Now, there are scenarios where this technique's very useful for spotted bass. They love brush piles as well. And so I don't want to use a lighter setup or open exposed hook fishing around cover like that. And so I have to utilize the Texas rig drop shot, okay? The hook that I'm using here, this is a 1-0 owner cover shot hook. And this will vary anywhere from a number 1 all the way up to a 2-0, depending on worm size, and it's depending on really the size of the fish that I'm targeting. You know, if I know that I'm somewhere in Texas, I'm in California, I'm down in Florida somewhere, and I know I'm fishing around some big fish, I really like to have a little bit of a beefier hook, which often calls for a little bit of a bigger worm and things like that. So you kind of want to prepare yourself for the conditions that you're fishing. Got just a standard, you know, this is a Guggen drop shot weight, anywhere from a 3/16 ounce up to a 1/2 ounce, you know, fishing deep grass, like up at Cayuga, that's a great example. Full of largemouth, 15, 17, 20 foot deep, around a lot of grass, 12-pound test on this setup right here will get it done. And so this is my first setup for drop shotting. I'm also utilizing a 3000 series reel. This is a Johnny Morris Platinum reel. It's a 6:1 gear ratio on the spinning reel. And like I said earlier, the favorite hex rod. I really like this hex rod. It's a very expensive rod. This is the highest end rod that Favorite makes, so I do understand the price point on this. But in my opinion, with a finesse technique, you need the most sensitive rod you can get away with, and the Favorite hex is the go-to choice for me when it comes to that. So that's what I'm rocking with. So I got another setup here, also with a drop shot. Now this is on a medium action rod, so we went down a little bit on the action. And the reason being, this is more of an open water scenario rod. I'm just around some isolated rock, some scattered rock. I'm out panning around with live scope, and I'm fishing open water targets where I know for a fact I'm not gonna run into any kind of structure out there to get broke off, right? Very important. So now I can go ahead and downsize everything. You know, I got a thinner braid on here. I got a lighter leader. You know, this is probably 6 and 8 pound leader. I'm fishing clearer water, a more finicky bass. You need a better presentation all the way around the board, right? That's where this right here is key. And oftentimes my spotted bass and my smallmouth is what I'm targeting when I'm utilizing this. So this is a 7-foot medium action, a 6'10", I'm sorry. A 6'10" medium action Favorite hex. Same reel, Johnny Morris 3000 edition right here. 6:1 gear ratio. And a lot of times with this particular setup, I'm starting with 6 and 8 pound tests. And then at the very most 10. 10 is the highest I'm gonna go with this particular setup. And then something else you'll notice right off the giddy with my bait choice and the way that it's set up. I'm just killing that mic, Anna. Let's put it over here. I'm killing that mic. Sorry, y'all. Y'all bear with me. So look, this is a nose hook, a different presentation. Obviously, when you fish around cover, you can't use a nose hook. You'll be hung up all day. But this is more of an open water presentation. So the nose hook on the bait, you know, it's just a more finessier deal, more action you're going to get, and we're using lighter line. And then on the weight, same deal, Guggen drop shot weight, and it's anywhere from a 3/16 of well all the way up to a 1/2 ounce, and in rare occasion, a 3/4 ounce. You know, St. Lawrence River, places like that with a little bit of current, really need to get down there. That lighter, that heavier weight is necessary. But these are the two scenarios, man. I don't really get carried away with my drop shots. You know, I think these two setups will get you covered. I travel all over the country, man, and the drop shots, you guys see me. You see me on live sometimes. You watch the YouTube videos. I'm using a spinning rod a lot these days, and a drop shot is a huge part of that. So, you know, just a couple little nuggets I thought I'd share with you guys with the drop shot setup. If you've never thrown a drop shot, you are absolutely missing out. This is a major fish catcher all across the country in all sorts of water conditions, water clarities, times of year. It really doesn't matter. A drop shot is just a phenomenal presentation that the bass just can't resist, man. So definitely give this a shot. Play with the different line sizes. Like I said, I would give you a range from 6 to 12. And like I said, in a rare occasion, 15, but you know, that's more like the floating worm, things like that, where I'm setting the hook really hard and I'm around cover once again, largemouth fishing. But for the drop shot, I'd start with the lighter line, 6 to 8s, and as the fish get bigger and the cover gets heavier, work your way up to 12. But this is something that I would say for all my fishermen, whether you're a bank guy, you know, you're a kayak fisherman, a bass fisherman out of a fully rigged bass boat, it doesn't matter. This is a mandatory technique. You got to have a drop shot. So play with your baits. I didn't really get into the baits. The list is out of this world that you can use. But, you know, play with the different baits. Figure out what works on your fishery. But the drop shot is just a fish catcher, man. So you got to have it tied on. But I wanted to share that with you guys. This one hadn't come up in the comments, but this was one that was heavy on my heart, man, because the drop shot's done so much for me. And I wanted to share that little bit of tidbit. And that's really it, man. So you guys look it up, check out my boy, look up my boy Aaron Martins, man, and what he did with the drop shots. Unbelievable. But definitely want to shout my boy out, man. It's been tough without him, man. I'm gonna say that. But anyways, I ain't gonna harp on that too much. I'm gonna get teary-eyed out on the setup with you guys. But yeah, thanks for all the comments, man, and all the love, the views, the likes, everything. I really appreciate that. This is going to be an ongoing series, so you guys will continue to get this information as time goes on. And if you want to see a technique that I didn't cover, that you see us using out on tour, or one that you don't see us using, you guys are just interested, drop me a comment. I'll read all the comments, and I'll get it done for you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. See you.